EQE D2-2024. Part 1, the case study, Xeracno vs. ProSilk. Introduction, setting the scene. Part 1.
Welcome to your Euro patent brief journey with Barsha Talai. We're about to dive into a fascinating case study that will sharpen your patent strategy skills. Today, we explore Xeracno's battle to protect its spider silk innovations while navigating the complex web of European patent law. Let's dive in.
Setting the scene, the spider silk industry.
Imagine a future where ultra-strong, lightweight spider silk is used in everything from bulletproof vests to medical sutures. That's exactly the vision of Xeracno, a Swiss company pioneering high-tech textile materials. But they're not alone. A fierce competitor, ProSilk, has been patenting key methods to control spider behavior and optimize silk harvesting. The patent landscape is now a battlefield.
The key players.
Xeracno, Switzerland, the innovator seeking strong patents. ProSilk, competitor, holding granted patents and pending applications. Smart SA, patent law firm, representing Xeracno before the EPO. Mr. Wool, Xeracno's R&D director, handling IP matters and strategy.
The core challenge.
Xeracno wants to continue harvesting spider silk in Europe without infringing ProSilk's patents. Meanwhile, ProSilk wants to block competitors and expand their IP rights. The big questions: who owns the strongest patents? Can Xeracno stop ProSilk or vice versa? And how can Xeracno strengthen its own patent position?
The key patents at play.
EPP2, ProSilk, granted. Covers harvesting any spider species in 3% to 13% CO2, valid in Germany and Switzerland. EPP3, ProSilk, pending. Expands CO2 range to 3% to 26%. Novelty issues, may not be fully patentable. EPAA plus, Xeracno pending, adds 1 to 2% N2O to improve silk production. PCTTM plus, Xeracno, PCT application. Uses tiger mosquitoes to increase spider lifespan. Euro PCT phase deadline missed, needs urgent action.
The legal battle begins.
In the next part, we'll analyze each of these patents and find out who really owns the rights to key spider silk production methods. Stay with me.
Outro for Part 1.
That's all for this first part. Take a moment to process what we've covered. Who do you think has the stronger position so far, Xeracno or ProSilk? In Part 2, we'll break down the patent situation in detail and uncover some surprises.
Part 2, analyzing the patent situation. Who holds the strongest rights? Introduction.
In Part 1, we set the stage for the patent showdown between Xeracno and ProSilk. Now let's break down the key patents and figure out who truly owns the rights to spider silk harvesting methods. This is where things get interesting.
EPP2, ProSilk, granted patent.
Claim: a method for harvesting spider silk by raising spiders in an atmosphere containing 3% to 13% CO2. Legal status: granted and validated in Germany and Switzerland.
Key legal issues.
Partial priority: the first part of the claim, 3 to 9% carbon dioxide for AI spiders, is valid from 16 January 2019, EPP1. The broader scope, all spider species 3% to 13%, only gets priority from 14 January 2020, EPP2 filing date. EPP1 is prior art under Article 54.3 EPC, but not novelty destroying for EPP2. Novelty and inventiveness. CO2 is a different gas from acetylene, solving both cannibalism and safety risks.
Takeaway.
EPP2 is a strong patent. It covers a broad range of spiders and is legally enforceable in Germany and Switzerland.
EPP3, ProSilk, pending patent.
Claim expands the carbon dioxide concentration range to 3% to 26%. Major problem, EPP3 lacks novelty. The range 3% to 9% for AA spiders comes from EPP1. The range 3% to 13% comes from EPP2. The comparative example in EPP1, 16% CO2 for AA spiders, destroys novelty for EPP3.
Legal issues.
Priority claim to EPP2 is invalid for parts disclosed in EPP1. EPP1 and EPP2 are Article 54.3 documents for EPP3. If EPP3 is granted, it will likely be easy to challenge.
Takeaway.
EPP3 is weak. If challenged, ProSilk might lose this patent.
EP-AA+, Xeracno, pending patent.
Claim, a method for harvesting AA spiders in 3% to 26% CO2 with 1 to 2% N2O added.
Novelty.
The use of N2O is new. Inventiveness. N2O boosts silk production, which is unexpected.
Key legal issues.
EPP1 and EPP2 are prior art under Article 54.2, EPC, but they don't disclose N2O. EPP3 is an Article 54.3 document, but it doesn't mention N2O either.
Takeaway.
EP-AA+ is strong. If granted, it can protect Xeracno's method of using N2O in spider farming.
PCTTM+, Xeracno, PCT application.
Claim 1. Feeding spiders with tiger mosquitoes to improve silk production. Claim 2. The spider silk produced by this method, product by process claim. Major problem. The European phase deadline was missed. What can be done? Re-establishment of rights. Xeracno can file a request, arguing that the deadline was missed despite all due care being taken. Deadline for re-establishment request, 2 months from discovering the mistake, 4th March 2024. Final deadline is 6th May 2024.
Key legal issues.
Claim 1 is strong, no prior art for mosquito diet. Claim 2, product by process, is weak. Spider silk is the same regardless of diet.
Takeaway.
PCTTM+ could be saved, but Xeracno must act fast to revive it.
Summary. Who holds the strongest rights?
ProSilk's strongest patent, EP-P2, valid in Germany and Switzerland. ProSilk's weakest patent, EP-P3, likely to fail due to lack of novelty. Xeracno's strongest patent, EP-AA+, new N2O addition, makes it inventive. Xeracno's urgent issue, PCTTM+, needs re-establishment ASAP.
Outro. What's next?
All right, take a moment to reflect. What does this all mean for Xeracno and ProSilk? Who has the upper hand? In Part 3, we'll explore what Xeracno can do next to block ProSilk and strengthen its own patent portfolio. Stay tuned.
Part 3. Xeracno's strategic moves, strengthening the patent portfolio and blocking ProSilk. Introduction.
In Part 2, we analyzed the patent landscape and saw that while ProSilk has a strong patent EP-P2, their pending application EP-P3 has weaknesses. We also identified that Xeracno has potential with EP-AA+ and PCTTM+, but there are urgent actions needed. So what should Xeracno do next? In this session, we'll explore the strategic steps Xeracno can take to strengthen its position and block ProSilk from expanding further.
Step 1. Challenge EPP3 before it gets granted. The problem.
ProSilk's EPP3 is still pending, but if granted, it could expand their protection from 13% to 26% CO2. However, we know that EPP3 is vulnerable to a novelty attack because EPP1 already disclosed AA spiders at 16% CO2. EPP2 already disclosed 3% to 13% CO2 for all species. EPP3 doesn't have a valid priority claim for everything it claims.
What can Zarachno do?
File third-party observations, TPOs, at the EPO. This is a free and effective way to inform the examiner about EPP3's lack of novelty. The examiner is obliged to consider the arguments before granting the patent. Prepare for an opposition if granted. If the EPO grants EPP3, Zarachno has 9 months from publication to file an opposition. The best argument? EPP3 lacks novelty over EPP1 and EPP2.
Why does this matter?
If EPP3 is granted, ProSilk could try to block Zarachno's activities in the 16 to 26% CO2 range. If EPP3 fails, Zarachno remains free to operate in that range.
Step 2. Secure PCTTM plus re-establish rights. The problem.
Zarachno missed the EuroPCT entry deadline for PCTTM plus, which covers feeding spiders with tiger mosquitoes. Deadline to act, 6th May 2024, 2 months from 4th March 2024.
What can Zarachno do?
File a request for re-establishment of rights. Explain why the deadline was missed despite all due care. Pay the re-establishment fee plus missing national phase fees. If accepted, PCTTM plus can still enter the European phase.
Why does this matter?
If revived, PCTTM plus could be used to block ProSilk in Bosnia, where they plan to use tiger mosquitoes. If lost, Zarachno will have no protection for this method in Europe.
Step 3. Expand protection to more countries. The problem.
Right now, EPP2 is only validated in Germany and Switzerland. PCTTM plus was only entered in the US, not in Europe.
What can Zarachno do?
Validate EPAA plus widely once granted. Cover key markets like Germany, France, UK, Italy, Turkey, and Bosnia. Extend PCTTM plus protection to Bosnia via EuroPCT if revived.
Why does this matter?
If Zarachno has patents in more European countries, it can block ProSilk's expansion.
Step 4. Block ProSilk from using tiger mosquitoes in Bosnia. The problem.
ProSilk plans to open a farm in Bosnia using the mosquito feeding method. If PCTTM plus is revived and enters Bosnia, Zarachno could block them.
What can Zarachno do?
If PCTTM plus is successfully revived, request national protection in Bosnia. Once granted, send a warning letter to ProSilk stating that their method would infringe Zarachno's patent. If necessary, seek an injunction to stop ProSilk from operating in Bosnia.
Why does this matter?
This would prevent ProSilk from gaining market dominance in the Balkans.
Step 5. Monitor and oppose ProSilk's future patents. The problem.
ProSilk might try to file even more patents to extend their monopoly.
What can Zarachno do?
Monitor ProSilk's future applications. Set up patent alerts for any new filings by ProSilk. Prepare for quick oppositions if needed. The 9-month opposition window is crucial.
Why does this matter?
Staying proactive prevents ProSilk from slowly expanding their patent rights.
Summary. The game plan for Zarachno.
Challenge EPP3 now. Third-party observations and prepare for opposition. Revive PCTTM plus ASAP before 6th May 2024. Expand patent protection, validate EPAA plus more widely, and enter Bosnia with PCTTM plus. Block ProSilk in Bosnia. Use PCTTM plus to stop their mosquito feeding method. Monitor and oppose future ProSilk filings.
Outro. What's next?
All right, we now have a solid strategy for Zarachno. But the big question remains, can ProSilk block Xeracno from its own operations? In Part 4, we'll analyze whether ProSilk can stop Xeracno from producing and selling silk in different regions.
Part 4, Freedom to Operate. Can ProSilk stop Xeracno? Introduction.
In Part 3, we build a strategic game plan for Xeracno to strengthen its patent portfolio and block ProSilk. But now let's flip the perspective. Can ProSilk use its patents to block Xeracno? In this part, we'll analyze where Xeracno can freely operate and where it might face legal risks.
Question 1. Can ProSilk block Xeracno from producing spider silk? What is ProSilk's strongest patent?
EPP2 is granted and validated in Germany and Switzerland. EPP3 is still pending, and we've already seen it has weaknesses. So the main threat to Xeracno is EPP2. Let's analyze 4 key locations where Xeracno is producing or planning to produce spider silk.
Location 1. Spies, Switzerland. Xeracno's method.
Raising AA spiders in 16% carbon dioxide and 1% N2O.
Does EPP2 cover this?
EPP2 only covers a CO2 range of 3% to 13%. Xeracno is using 16% CO2, which falls outside the claim. N2O is not covered by EP-P2. Xeracno is free to operate in space.
Location 2. Turkey. Planned expansion. Xeracno's method.
Raising AA spiders in 8% carbon dioxide and feeding them tiger mosquitoes.
Does EPP2 cover this?
Yes, 8% CO2 is inside the claimed range of 3% to 13%. But EPP2 is not validated in Turkey. Also, feeding spiders with tiger mosquitoes is not covered by EPP2. Xeracno is free to operate in Turkey, but ProSilk could still file a new patent or validate EPP2 there.
Location 3. Colorado, USA. Xeracno's method.
Raising AA spiders in 8% carbon dioxide and feeding them tiger mosquitoes.
Does EPP2 cover this?
EPP2 is a European patent and has no effect in the USA. Xeracno is 100% free to operate in the USA.
Location 4. Importing silk into Switzerland. Scenario.
Xeracno produces spider silk in Turkey or the USA, then imports it into Switzerland and sells it.
Does EPP2 block this?
EPP2 is granted in Switzerland. Article 64.2 EPC says that a patented process also protects the product. Since Xeracno's method in Turkey uses 8% CO2, which is covered by EPP2, the silk produced there could infringe EPP2 in Switzerland. Xeracno can be stopped from importing and selling silk in Switzerland.
Takeaway.
Xeracno is free to produce in Turkey and the USA, but importing silk into Switzerland could be a problem.
Question 2. Can ProSilk block Xeracno under EPP3 if granted?
EPP3 tries to extend the CO2 range to 3% to 26%, but we've already seen that it has major novelty issues. If EPP3 gets granted, Xeracno could oppose it or invalidate it.
Spies, Switzerland, 16% CO2.
EPP3 cannot validly cover this method. Why? Because AA at 16% CO2 was already disclosed in EP-P1. Xeracno is still free to operate in SPIAs, even if EPP3 is granted.
Turkey, 8% CO2.
If EPP3 gets granted, could it block Xeracno? No. The range 3% to 9% CO2 for AA belongs to the prior art, so EPP3 cannot provide valid protection over 8% CO2. Xeracno is free to operate in Turkey, even if EPP3 is granted.
Importing silk into Switzerland.
If EPP3 is granted, ProSilk could try to block imports of silk produced with 16% CO2. But since 16% CO2 was already in EPP1, EPP3 cannot legally cover it. Zarachno could argue that EPP3 doesn't apply and continue importing silk.
Summary: can ProSilk block Zarachno?
Zarachno is free to operate in Spites, Turkey, and the USA. Importing silk into Switzerland could infringe EPP2. EPP3 is weak and unlikely to block Zarachno.
Outro: what's next?
All right, we've now analyzed the risks Zarachno faces. But what if ProSilk keeps expanding? In Part 5, we'll wrap up with final recommendations. How can Zarachno secure long-term success in the patent landscape? Stay tuned.
Part 5: Final strategy and long-term success for Zarachno. Introduction.
We've analyzed the entire patent battle between Zarachno and ProSilk. We now know where Zarachno is safe to operate, where it faces risks, and how it can challenge ProSilk. In this final part, we'll lay out a long-term strategy to secure Zarachno's market position and keep its competitors in check. Let's dive in.
Zarachno's long-term IP strategy.
To ensure freedom to operate and competitive strength, Zarachno must focus on 3 key areas.
1. Strengthening its patent portfolio.
A strong patent portfolio will give Zarachno offensive and defensive power against competitors like ProSilk.
Secure the grant of EPAA+.
EP-AA+, CO2 plus N2O method is novel and inventive. Once granted, validated in key markets. Germany, where ProSilk operates. Switzerland, home market. France, UK, Italy, major European economies. Turkey and Bosnia, future expansion.
Revive PCTTM+ and enter the European phase.
Act before 6th May 2024 to request re-establishment of rights. Once revived, validate in Bosnia to block ProSilk's planned farm.
File divisional applications.
Why? To get narrower claims that can still be useful in enforcement. Example, a divisional from EP-AA+ focusing specifically on N2O's effect on AA spiders.
Consider patent applications for additional innovations.
If Zarachno develops new methods, e.g., alternative feeding techniques, different gas mixtures, file new applications quickly. A continuous flow of patents helps keep a strong competitive edge.
2. Proactively blocking ProSilk.
Instead of just defending, Zarachno should go on the offensive against ProSilk's patents.
Challenge EPP3 before it's granted.
File third-party observations at the EPO now. If EPP3 is granted, file an opposition within 9 months.
Monitor and oppose future ProSilk patents.
Set up patent alerts for new filings from ProSilk. If ProSilk tries to extend its patent rights, challenge them early.
Block ProSilk's expansion into Bosnia.
Once PCTTM+ is revived and enters Bosnia, send ProSilk a warning letter stating that their planned farm would infringe Zarachno's patent. If they ignore the warning, seek an injunction to legally stop them.
3. Smart business moves to work around IP risks.
Even with patents, business strategy matters. Zarachno should
Keep Swiss operations safe.
Since EPP2 does not cover 16% CO2, SPIES remains safe for production.
Expand production in Turkey and the USA.
No ProSilk patents exist there, making them safe zones for production.
Rethink Swiss market entry.
Importing spider silk from Turkey or USA into Switzerland is risky due to EPP2. One option, set up a separate legal entity to sell the silk, reducing risk of direct infringement. Another option, Modify the production method slightly to ensure it doesn't fall under EP2's claims.
Summary: Xeracno's path to success.
Strengthen its own patent portfolio. EPAA plus PCTTM plus new filings. Challenge ProSilk's weak patents, EPP3. Monitor and oppose ProSilk's future patents. Block ProSilk in Bosnia with revived PCTTM plus. Expand production safely and avoid Swiss import risks.
Outro: wrapping up the journey.
We've covered a lot in this case study, from analyzing existing patents to building a strong future strategy. Patent battles aren't just about protecting inventions. They're about smart business decisions and staying one step ahead of competitors. Keep these lessons in mind as you navigate European patent law, and always think strategically. Thank you for learning with me, and I'll see you in the next session.